People believe that, okay, there are like LinkedIn gods. There are people that grew on LinkedIn, have hundred thousands of followers, are making millions, living the best life ever. And then this is their playbook. And then they're selling you a playbook. And then they are, because they need to sound like gurus, they need to tell you, just follow this and you will be like me, because that's what you are paying. They're just trying to get a template, a framework, a step-by-step guide, something that you can just implement, and you get a personal brand, and you get your voice, and you get your leads, and you become famous, whatever is the goal. Unfortunately, that is not true.
Hello and welcome to another episode of One Night in Product, the best product podcast in the universe, with a 4.9-ish rating on Spotify, and I'm even starting to pick up on YouTube. So make sure to follow, subscribe, like, share, rate, and all of those other things that people ask you to do in intros like this. Tonight, we're going to be going deep on LinkedIn, a platform we all seem to love to hate, but we keep going back anyway. But how can we make the best of a bad hand, and are there certain types of approach that pay off more than others? Should we be paying influencers to get into their engagement pods? Are we ever going to get any reach if we put a URL in our posts? What are some of the things we should do on LinkedIn, and some of the things we shouldn't? For all this and much, much more, stick with us on One Night in Product. So my guest tonight is Ivana Todorovic. Ivana's a startup founder and LinkedIn guru who says that people often comment on how much of a nerd she is, and says that many are shocked at how openly she talks about her mistakes, although hopefully that doesn't include agreeing to appear on this podcast. Ivana used to evaluate business proposals for the European Innovation Council before deciding it was time to walk the walk with her own startup, Orthod, a platform that helps to make you look like a pro on LinkedIn, and I must say, I think some of us need as much help as we can get. Hi Ivana, how are you tonight?
I'm fine, thank you, and thank you for having me.
No problem. It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm hoping that we're going to finally solve LinkedIn tonight. Like that's the goal. So if we don't solve LinkedIn tonight, then we have it's another failure or another mistake that we can talk about afterwards. But first things first, let's talk a little bit about your company. So you're the founder of Orthod, and to quote from your website, it's the ultimate LinkedIn content creation and analytics tool, which sounds great. But what does Orthod offer the world specifically?
It is a tool that helps regular people to create great content on LinkedIn and build their personal brands. So to put it into the feature perspective, even though they tell me like, don't talk about the features, just talk about the values. I'm like, it is a tool that helps you from the ideation moment where you need to get a draft, to understand what you want to write about, to creating the content, your own voice with specific tools that we are providing. And then you can schedule, you can see what you scheduled, you can see analytics of your profile and of your content. So basically, we are trying to cover the whole flow from the moment you have an idea for the LinkedIn post to posting it, understanding whether it works or doesn't, and reusing it maybe in the future.
So you talk then about individuals and, kind of your everyday person, I guess, but is that really then your key target audience, or have you also got like an offering for companies or for hustle bro influencers and all those other people that are all over LinkedIn at the moment? Like, do you basically happily serve all of those people, or are you very specifically optimized again for those kind of individuals that maybe don't have an audience yet?
So that's a tricky question, because one was our primary goal, and then like the other thing was the market and who is buying Orthod, right? That we are not really controlling. So we
so it's all the bros, it's all the hustle bros. They're the ones that keep buying it.
Yeah, no, we don't. By the way, we don't have so many hustle bros because we are against automation on LinkedIn, and because of that, we are basically not providing tools for hustle bros. So you cannot spam anyone, you cannot get profiles of other people, you cannot send them emails. Like you cannot AI comment on other people's posts. So if you don't have that kind of features, they're like, we are done. We are going to go with something else, which we are perfectly fine. So our main customer is still individual. So, and that is a person that is already having some understanding of the LinkedIn. So they need to understand what is important in order to get a tool to help them execute that, right? So mostly it's for individuals. We also have businesses that are doing what we call employee advocacy, right? So companies providing tools to their employees to write what they think is important on LinkedIn. So 10, 15, even 50 people get outed up. At the end, they are still acting as individuals. Yes, company can provide some draft. They can analyze for them, but the core functionalities are about you, your voice, and posting that on LinkedIn.
Well, that sounds fabulous. I'm very keen to make sure that we don't, encourage all these hustle people as much as, as much as we need to, or any more than we need to. But it was an interesting point you raised about kind of the automation and some of the, maybe more shadowy things that you can do with these types of tools, where it kind of feels like a lot of the time you have kind of almost a clash with the platform itself about like what they want you to be able to do. And again, I remember this more with tools like Twitter and some of the Twitter ecosystem back before they all got turned off with the API. Do you kind of face that, and did you have to face that as you were starting up, this idea that like you've got to work within the bounds of the LinkedIn ecosystem and work with the access that they give you, but at the same time provide something that's actually helpful and better for people?
Yeah, yes. When we started, we were, to be honest, a bit lucky because I was working for 2 years in compliance industry. So when you are coming from compliance, like somehow you are thinking about the compliance. So when we started, we also, first of all, we realized that you can get, first of all, a notice from LinkedIn and get a ban if you're using a tool. Tool itself won't really have so many problems, but like individuals that are using can be flagged as using an automation. So we decided that, first of all, you have one LinkedIn profile. It's yours. It's your name. It's really problematic if you invest like, I don't know, like hundreds of hours, thousands of hours, like years. You depend on it. And then because you didn't understand what you are doing, because most of the people are getting banned because they don't understand that they are doing something against the terms, that we realized that is not the way how we want to work and we want to grow our company. So we sit together, my co-founder and I, and we were like, okay, so we are going to do it differently. We knew it will be harder. We didn't know it will be this harder, in a sense where like some features that take some other tools maybe a week to build take us like 2 months because we want to do it according to rules. So, like you have values, but you also need to take costs, because if you don't have any costs, like that is not really a value. So that's how we operate from the day one. And that's why, for example, on Orthod help section, you have a whole compliance element, like where you can read about it. And that is something that is really, really important for us. First of all, because we are investing so much energy to make it like this. And on the other side, because we think this is the fair way. Even if someone is using automation, like I think that it will be very honest, at least from the tools, just to explain what does it mean. Yet, most of the tools are hiding that, saying that we are having safety measures, we are doing our best. I'm sure they are, but at the end, like it's my account, I only have one account, and when I get banned, they don't get penalized, right? And I don't feel that's fair. So we operate on the different scale, I would say.
So there's kind of an ethical, as you say, kind of compliance angle there, which I think is really interesting because, of course, there's always the possibility when you're dependent on someone else's platform that they can kind of just turn you off. And that's something that, again, we very much specifically saw a couple of years or a year or whenever it was ago. Time's just becoming meaningless to me these days. But like whenever it was, when Elon took over Twitter, rebranded it, turned off all the APIs, or made people pay God knows how much to do it. And you had all these people, exactly as you say, that had built their own effectively personal brands on that platform. And then it all kind of just turned to dust. Is that something that you're worried about with LinkedIn? I mean, obviously, different owner. Maybe Musk isn't going to buy that, and maybe the rules of engagement are different. But are you worried that either LinkedIn at some point decide, well, we're just going to turn you off because we don't like you anymore, or that something happens to the platform that then kind of makes it less, I don't know, appetizing for you as a business?
So, yes, I mean, like whenever you are building on top of a platform, whatever it is, it can be a social media, it can be OpenAI, right? Or any kind of the AI wrapper. You are basically taking a risk. If you are building any kind of a plugin, if you are building a Chrome extension, as we do, because we have a Chrome extension plus it is for LinkedIn, so like two platform risks, you all need to understand that there will be risks. On the other side, you also are getting some gains because people are already familiar. You can jump into the space, fix relatively small problem for a targeted group, and still have the awareness for it because there is already awareness for the issues and problems, and also for the platform. People are already there, so you don't need to hunt them through other type of strategies. So regarding for the Chrome store, like you list on a Chrome store, and if you have a pretty okay-ish explanation of what your tool does, like by searching a few keywords, people will find you. And that is very hard to get in 2024. So yes, like when it comes to the risks, it's always something, I'm not thinking about it every day. But again, one of the biggest thoughts was, okay, we are going to build this tool. We are going to serve this type of the customer because we were feeling the same pain. We still feel the same pain. And we know that we won't become a unicorn. We also know we won't have like 100 million valuation. We know that we are not for investors. We are not looking for investors. We know that, it's riskier than if you own the whole value chain, like if you own the whole process. But at the end, we also gain a lot because we are for LinkedIn.
Now, if we go back to some of those tiresome hustle, let's call them bros because they're normally bros, out there that then start waffling on about the benefits of VC funding and unicorns, as you say, and they might then dismissively refer to this then as some kind of lifestyle business, something that's going to do kind of okay, but like is never going to hit the stratosphere. Does that bother you in any way, or do you feel that it's perfectly okay to run a company like that and that these people are just they should go and talk about something else instead, on LinkedIn or not?
Yeah, like I really don't care, to be honest. Like right now, I would say like I have 7, 8, 9 years from the moment I started to officially work, from the moment I left the faculty, and I am working for 15 years, right? So I think that I feel the best right now. So, the moment when I get like today, I got like 2 or 3 messages from people that are our customers that I never met, I never saw. I didn't even know that they are our customers, sending me a DM connection request saying that they're using Orthod, they love Orthod, and they would like to connect. So that kind of satisfaction is something that keeps us. And then the second moment is I'm responding to them and asking, okay, what else can we build for you to serve you even better? And then we have the roadmap, we have our goals, and then we are moving towards that. I'm not looking at this like what will happen in 10 years, or am I going to become a billionaire? I'm not looking to become a billionaire. I'm not looking to build a unicorn. I never was. And I feel so comfortable bootstrapping Orthod, having a small dedicated team.
We'll all look stupid when LinkedIn buy you in a couple of years and cash you out. But until then, you can keep it real. All right, so before we delve deep into how to master LinkedIn, I'd just like to take a few seconds to talk about how this episode's sponsor can help you master your inbound leads. When building your business, sometimes you have a eureka moment, like when a certain tool becomes a legitimate game changer. That's why I'm here again talking about Leadfeeder, a tool that helps you cut through your data and turn your website visitors into solid leads. Imagine knowing which companies are checking out your site, tracking their behavior, and integrating all of that with your CRM. Well, that's exactly what Leadfeeder does for you. Result, it becomes your secret weapon for targeted lead engagement, making it easier for your team to convert website traffic into sales. You can head over to leadfeeder.com/try for a free demo and get a free extended premium trial when you let the rep know that you found out about Leadfeeder through the One Night in Product podcast. Check the show notes for more details, but as for now, let's get back to the show. One thing that occurs to me then, I mean, based on how you've described the platform, obviously I've, full disclosure, I've taken a look at the platform as well. We'll talk about that another time maybe, just to kind of see what it's all about and the functionality it has within it, because I'm on LinkedIn just as much as everyone is these days. So like anything that can help with that, I'm always going to be interested in. But doesn't all this content planning and analytics and optimization take away a little bit from the kind of fun and authenticity of using LinkedIn? Like, it's still basically a social network, right? A big social graph of all the people that you've probably ever worked with and people you've connected with. Do we really have to plan everything to be successful on LinkedIn, do you think?
No, I mean, yes, first of all, you're right. Like, why we are using authenticity? I think there are few reasons. First is like the last probably that happened is the AI, right? So because there is so many AI
The opposite of
supported,
authenticity.
exactly. Then like I know that people are saying yes, but if you have a really good prompt, whatever, like okay, I can write a prompt. I can put like all of these books into the prompt; it will still sound like AI. So I think that is one part. The second part is that people believe that okay, there are like LinkedIn gods. There are people that grew on LinkedIn, have hundred thousands of followers, are making millions, living the best life ever, working 2 hours per day, maybe from the seaside, and then this is their playbook. And then they're selling you a playbook. And then they are, because they need to sound like gurus, they need to tell you, just follow this and you will be like me because that's what you are paying. Unfortunately, that is not true. And we see many customers, people coming to us saying like, oh, I tried this so hard. Like it was insane. I was spending 4 hours per day on LinkedIn. I didn't get any results because at the end, they don't understand what they are doing. They're just trying to get a template, a framework, a step-by-step guide, something that you can just implement and you get a personal brand and you get your voice and you get your leads and you become famous, whatever is the goal. So that is one of the second reason. So I think that still it is pretty easy to be authentic on LinkedIn. You just need to be opposite to that. And you just need to be you. Like for example, I'm not publishing personal stories. Why? I'm talking about stuff on podcasts, but I don't know how to write a personal story. And whatever they tell me, like, yes, but people will feel the empathy, whatever. I don't feel okay sharing something like that. And I'm like, I won't do it. So, everyone will tell you like one of the 3 or 4 best types of posts you can write are personal stories. Yes, for someone, but I don't feel comfortable. So I won't do it. So I think it's more about you. And then when you put yourself into the framework and make your own persona, I like this, I don't like this, I want to connect with these people, I like to talk to these people, even though I don't get anything, I don't need to get something from every conversation. So if you get into it like a social media and as something that is even longer term, like it's not something you're put your 5 minutes and get X back, then you start to build your personal brand and you really start to grow.
But it's funny actually, because thinking about this authenticity and like what you do and don't want to do, I mean, there's a couple of things that spring to mind. One of which is, and people ask me about this from time to time because, I do okay on, or I have done okay on social media in the past. But I kind of had the advantage of when I started out, building, for want of a better word, building a following and getting people interacting with my stuff. I didn't need to do that for any particular reason. I wasn't doing it to try and start to sell things. I was doing it because, I had a job. I had a full-time job and it was just something that I did on the side. And therefore, for me, it was very low stakes. But it feels like some people are, kind of betting the farm on this one, right? They're like, well, I need to go to LinkedIn. I need to go and do all of these things because that's the only way that I'm going to sell whatever it is that they're selling, their course or their framework, like you say, or consulting services or coaching, whatever. But also it feels like those are the types of posts, certainly from what I see these days, that are kind of doing the worst on LinkedIn. Like if I can post various different types of thing, I don't know if you see this in your stats, that the actual ones where you're sitting there saying, hey, come and buy my thing or do the thing that, gives me money. It feels like those ones aren't the posts that do very well anyway. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah. I mean, like we call these posts hard sell posts.
Yeah.
Because in our analysis, we did analysis 1.5 million posts, more than 30,000 profiles. We even developed our machine learning ecosystem, like multiple models to understand how it works. So first of all, you need to clusterize. So you need to put different people in different clusters. I cannot compare you and someone that has 200 followers and is a student. So there are a lot of, like statistics before you even start to analyze something. But we categorize posts and like hard sell posts, like any post that at the end is saying, or at the beginning, like if you do it at the beginning, it's like it's a waste of space, time, and I don't think it will bring you anything good, that are like buy my thing. So yes, there are ways how you can soft sell, in a sense where maybe you first of all you need to understand that post needs to be complete without that, and that is just a very small, up to 5% CTA that is just on top of everything, but it has to really really make sense, everything, just to put it, and don't put it everywhere. So there are ways how you can plug in this I'm selling something, but it really needs to be soft sell. It cannot be buy my course. It has to be, if you're interested, follow me or check my profile, or here is a link for everyone who are XYZ, or I'm providing something for free. So it needs to be very small step for someone that is ideally your target audience. If you nail down the post really good, you can get leads from there. But just to get there, it takes time. Like your first, second, 10th post cannot be I'm selling post. I'm sorry. Like you need to build a personal brand before you even try to promote anything. It doesn't need to be like something you're selling. You want to promote this podcast. Again, it's some kind of a promotion. You're asking people something additional on top of reading and engaging with the content that you posted on LinkedIn.
But there's also something that I've seen, and I want to talk a bit more about the algorithm in a minute, but the kind of the narrative that I've seen, and probably from you as well as other people as well, is, for example, anything that's got any kind of link in it just gets down boosted as, pretty much. I mean, not always. Like I've definitely put stuff out with LinkedIn, with links in that, that don't, that they seem to do okay, but that the general theory is that if you start putting links in your posts, taking people away from LinkedIn and their little wannabe walled garden, that they're automatically going to start to sort of boost you down. Is that, again, something that you believe is actually true?
We see that in data. Like, first of all, there are, I would say, two types how you can post a link on LinkedIn. One option is you put a link, whatever it is. It can even be like a news. But whenever you put a link, LinkedIn creates something that is called link preview card. It looks like an image right now. They are changing the design of it, but basically they take the image from that link and they put it like. And when people see that type of post, it's not only that LinkedIn doesn't want you to leave the platform, obviously, they are trying to make it harder for you to leave. Also, people are not really in the feed looking to check your link, and like the worst type of links are, I wrote a blog. Like imagine I haven't authored a blog. I put a link. I get one paragraph. I paste that paragraph. I put a link, and then it's like, here you are. Do you really think anyone is going to engage? It's not only on the LinkedIn side. It's a crappy content. So I'm sorry. The second way how you can put a link is you can add it like very, as I mentioned, like maybe somewhere at the end, like for more insights, but you need to write really good post. Here is something that you can check out. And that type of links are less deboost, but also because people engage with your content and most of them won't click on a link, but they see the value. That link is not seen in the hook. When they open a post, they can see that you created something. Maybe you have an image, maybe you have a video or PDF. And then like, if you want to see it. Last point, we did a small analysis when you put a link in the post and when you put it in a comment. Because if it is in a comment, your post doesn't get the boost. However, these were the results. Even when you put the link into the post, it gets 10 times more clicks than if you put it in the comment. Even if you tell people check the comment section. Why? First of all, LinkedIn is deboosting comments that have links. So it will go to the end. Again, nobody's going to find it. And then if your post is really good and if it's super easy to click on it and check it out, people might go there. So whenever, like I personally don't like to put links. I think that it should be done sometimes when it really makes sense, you're going to get less impressions. Like it won't be ever like your best post. Like you won't probably get viral, but you can expect some median level of impressions. But if it is very important for you, for example, to promote a new season of your podcast, or if you really want people to check something that is totally new, you have some campaign, put it there, count in your head, I will get less impressions. But at that moment, I don't care about impressions. I only care about 20, 30, 100 people, 1,000 ideally, but that's very hard, that are going to go to that link and check out what is there.
That point about virality, though, is an interesting one, because I've heard on the grapevine, and again, maybe it was even from you, that LinkedIn's almost unlike, Twitter back in the old days, or even Twitter now, or X now, whatever you want to call it, Twitter. But that LinkedIn is almost trying to make things not go viral because it doesn't really appreciate that type of content. And I've certainly seen people that have put stuff that's gone really popular. And in fact, I remember a couple of years ago, I put some meme up that did like God knows how many millions of views that it got. But it always felt like LinkedIn was trying to just kind of rein it back a little bit rather than actually embrace the virality of posts. Do you think that that's happening, or is that just the sort of thing that someone that doesn't get viral posts would say?
No, that's happening for sure. First of all, their chief editor openly said that they are looking for real conversations, real engagement, and they are not looking to build influencers on LinkedIn. So that's at least what I read through by listening to a few podcasts. And on the other side, we see that in data. Like we have some data for like 2-3 years, that is 2 or 3 years old, comes to posts. To be honest, first of all, it was much easier to get viral. What is viral? Let's say you get 100,000 impressions. Like that's okay-ish. Right now, even for big accounts that have 200,000 followers, it's hard to get 200,000 impressions. And that's half of their followers. On the other side, I remember myself posting something a few years ago. It was okay post, like nice. And I was at more than 100,000 impressions with like a few thousand followers. That was happening more. And right now, first of all, there is more competition that we need to be aware of. But also, I think that they are doing their best not to promote a post or someone like for free like that. They really want to put some space for every person that is consistently posting on LinkedIn.
It's interesting. As you were talking about the numbers, I pulled up some of my own posts on LinkedIn just to see, I've got round about 25,000 followers on LinkedIn. So, you'd think that, that's definitely not as many as some, but it's definitely better than a lot of people. And I'm very grateful that every one of those people decided to follow me. But it also seems that most of them aren't seeing my posts. Like I just looked at one and it's got something like 2,500 impressions. So 10%. And obviously some of those impressions aren't even from my followers because they're going to be things that have shown up in other people's feeds, which, because that's something that the LinkedIn algorithm does as well. Like it shows you things that other people have, interacted with. So do you have a feeling like, is 10% like roughly fair enough for the amount of someone's followers that they should expect to interact with content? Is it low? Is it high? Like what are do you have like a good sense of like the different terciles or something?
It depends on a few things. Like I mentioned clusters at the beginning. So if someone has like 200 followers, it's really bad if they get like 20 impressions. So it depends. Like you are already pretty big from the LinkedIn standpoint. Like anything that is, my opinion, about more than 20,000 followers is like very significant. Like 30,000 connections is the maximum you can have on LinkedIn. So that also says something about how many people they believe you potentially can interact with for free. So I think that you can do better, but I'll be very
Can't we
open.
all?
Yes, but that is like between 10 to 20% median number of impressions, and then you obviously have peaks. So that is what you can expect. Sometimes, again, it depends. Like big accounts have a totally different traction and they behave totally differently in the feed. than you or me or someone else. And also one important note. It also depends how many people that are following you are interested in your content. And the longer you are on LinkedIn, the more you change maybe your topic, and your niche. So you will probably have people from 10 or 12 years ago that you connected. You have people from your high school. And whenever they see your post, they will probably pass. So it is very important to see how many of these followers are really active on LinkedIn. How many of them are, even checking LinkedIn once in a week. So, and how many of them are, for example, some scammers, spammers, people that were trying to to hard sell something in DMs, automation, and ideally you can remove them, because removing accounts that are not relevant, that are not in your industry, that are not on LinkedIn, unoptimized profiles, you have no clue who they are, is going to improve your median impressions for sure.
If only there was some kind of tool that could have a functionality to do that sort of thing. That would be high on my wish list. Maybe we can chat after this. But it does seem, though, that some people, and again, I sort of see all of these different commentaries from all over the place, so I don't know specifically where these comments have come from, but there's this kind of idea these days that if you rewind a few years, like LinkedIn was all about, as with like Facebook back in the day and all these other social networks back in the day, it was almost like the simplistic view was you follow a bunch of people, your friends and colleagues, whatever, and it shows you what they write when they write it, more or less, like your wall and stuff like that as you used to have. But that's changed not just on LinkedIn, but on all these different social networks and anything that relies on a social graph, to move away from showing you the things that your friends or that your connections have said, and really pushing this kind of algorithmic, whether it's influencers or high traction accounts or just other stuff. Like, for example, I mean, again, I know it's not LinkedIn, but if I go to Facebook these days, like I have to really fight to find something from my friends to get it to come up on my, on my feed. And it's not quite that bad on LinkedIn, but it's also not that bad on LinkedIn. Like, it does seem to be a lot of stuff that comes up on that kind of top timeline that everyone gets defaulted to, which is kind of influencer spam and just all these other posts from people that I don't engage with. Is that something that you believe is a specific choice that LinkedIn are trying to push this down people's throat? And I guess also, if it is, how do people get onto that list so they get pushed down people's throats as well?
Yeah. So first of all, a few years ago, you had less ads in LinkedIn feed. So right now you have more space for ads, less space for organic content. Also, you have not only a typical ad, you also have sponsored post, which is also type of an ad, but it can look like a post. So obviously less space is for organic. Then it gets to the engagement. We don't know exactly 100% how LinkedIn feed works because we don't have enough data. We assume that, and we can see that they are tweaking algorithm every month at least. We can see, even when we compare internally who sees what in the feed, that sometimes they are pushing like literally only first level connections and you get only your friends. And then they are pushing these big accounts, influencers, and then you are getting that. So there are so many parameters that they are trying to track with, to be honest, I believe one main goal: to keep you more on LinkedIn. So not just in the feed, but more active on LinkedIn. So not only that they are checking how much time you spend while scrolling, they're also checking DMs, they are also checking what happened after you see something. They have so many parameters that they are tracking. And with the end goal to make it more sticky, like we have games right now on LinkedIn. So they
Yeah, I
are
mean, who asked for
really
that,
doing
huh? Who asked
everything.
for that?
Nobody, but like I played one game. I'm getting a notification every day that I need to play again with basically one main goal, and that is to push me to go back to LinkedIn. It's not, they don't want to become like a gaming company. Like, these games are very simple. The goal is that you have something, the reason why you would go and spend, at least log into LinkedIn, and then they will try to keep you more there.
advertise at you as much as they can until you leave again.
You said it.
Well, what can I say? I mean, I just say what I see. But speaking then of like influence as well, like obviously there's been a couple of types of badges that they've rolled out. One of which is the community, whatever, top voice, the gold one that you get for replying to the AI articles. And then there's the blue ones, which are allegedly curated, which, the top voices. And at the same time, I think it's fair to say that if something is if it's unclear why something is curated, then it might as well just be for any reason. Like there's no one's, as far as I'm aware, published any kind of, oh, this is what people do to get a blue thing. At least with the gold ones, it's because they've applied to some posts. But do you feel that either of those, or do you see that either of those badges impact people getting pushed into feeds, or more engagement, less engagement? Is there any difference at all?
We were checking because we were also getting data like who is flagged on LinkedIn as influencer, like they call it influencer activity. And we were trying to understand, first of all, as you said, like why these people got it. Like we don't have any analysis. I read their post and I'm like, okay, this is fine, but I don't see why this is much better than something else. Or I have much better candidates. Ask me, I'm going to tell you. And when it comes to these contributions to articles, basically they realize that people want to have this badge. They don't want to give everyone this one that is curated, that is like special, that is like, LinkedIn headquarters has the team that is putting people this badge. But here is something that anyone can get. And why they made it, in my opinion, is because they want more content produced for AI training. Because if you are right now Googling any kind of an article, they are saying that it's a contribution to the article. Like, have you ever read these articles? Like they're really, really poor quality. So they get some ideas and then you comment, and the more you comment, you are going to get the badge. I forgot what are the numbers, how many contributions you need to have. And then you need to do it every month because you are going to lose the badge. So it's not something that you're going to get, and it's yours, but you need to keep contributing. And obviously they want to incentivize people to contribute because they need that. Right now, when you do a Google search, you can see these articles. And I'm pretty sure that they also have like the whole strategy, how they are using that.
But do you think that it impacts people's reach in any way?
I saw some tests, but we don't see any statistical significance. Like, I would say sometimes, yes, especially if you have a lot of contributions in some period. And right now they are also, like you can see in your profile that they are right now measuring 3 types of contributions. Like they are telling you how many posts you have per week, how many comments you wrote, and how many contributions to these articles. So obviously it's important for them. So we didn't have enough data to prove to prove it really works and is important, but it doesn't seem that is super significant. Like even if it is, like we don't see like statistical significance. Like it seems that maybe you can get a bit more impressions, but that won't change it for real. Like you won't explode, you won't get viral. So it depends what, like there are a few things you can optimize and you get 7% more on average here, 3% less here, like we can tell you stats like that. But at the end, in the whole scope, there is like 20-25% that you can do. You need to implement everything. And we assume that on average, you're going to get this percentage more impressions. But at the end, are you really going to do all of this just for this number? Like you can write a better post and you're going to get much more.
Yeah, but that's harder. Writing better posts is harder. But one of the ways that people do try to get, maybe even try to game the system a little bit, and we chatted a little bit about this before, the idea of LinkedIn engagement pods. So these kind of pods that, for those who aren't aware, they're kind of this idea that you have like a private WhatsApp group, for example, where a bunch of people all join up and they all share each other's links. And then whenever they post their links, everyone's supposed to go and comment or like. And obviously, on the one hand, you sit there and think, well, that's kind of people trying to game the system. Like, what on earth are they playing at? But on the other hand, you might sit there and say, well, given how occasionally hostile LinkedIn seems to be to certain types of content, maybe this is the only chance they've got to actually get their voice out there. So where do you stand on engagement pods? Do you see anything in the data? Do you have any personal opinions on whether they're a good idea or whether they're a bad idea?
Yeah, so what we see in data is that the likes that come from engagement pods, first of all, we can identify internally like who is where.
It's the same people every time, right?
Yes, and you can also see like the profile growth, for example, or like you can see like like outliers, and then you're like, why we have like 1,000 people in this cluster here and 5 are there, like, and then you get there and you're like, yeah, they're all in the pod. So obviously you need also to check. You cannot go only from the database, but we see that first of all that engagement from the pod, and never mind if it is like a WhatsApp group or someone sends you a post in their LinkedIn DM, wherever, these reactions are getting, it seems to get are providing less impressions per reaction, call it like that. So if because LinkedIn knows whether they put that post to someone's feed, so they know that you came via link. Especially people sometimes don't know how to share links, so they don't even share like only a link to the post. They share a whole link with the UTMs for LinkedIn that basically says, this is my post. I took it from my feed. So remove these UTMs, like this tracking on the top if you are doing the pod. But at the end, LinkedIn knows how you got there. The question is how important it is for them. So one thing for sure is that you get less impressions. Like if I get 1,000 reactions natively, let's say I get 100,000 impressions, you get 1,000 reactions through pods, you get 10 or 20,000 impressions. So you won't boost impressions so much. You will boost that number that people see. The second problem with the pods, I will right now talk first of all about the problem, but the second problem is that the question is who is in the pod, whether they are people from your target group or do they have your ideal audience. If you join the pod that is not targeted and you are talking about one topic and the other person, like if I see that Jason likes a post about green energy right now, and then write some comment, and it was like mechanical engineering, and then it's something in HR in Asia, I'm like, and I see your posts because they are recommended, because we are connected in the feed, I will be like, Jason is doing something that is, I don't know. Yeah.
I'm a complicated guy. What can I say?
Yeah. So, but like this, and also the third is, if you have a few friends that are going to support you, I'm okay with that. I'm not doing it. First of all, I don't need, but I think that at the beginning, you also need some kind of a support group. Do not pay for pods, but it's okay if, like, we don't need to, at least, I know that some people are looking to grow their profiles, and I'm going to comment when I see their post in the feed. If I comment once, LinkedIn is probably will show me the next one as well. So it's more about like supporting someone rather than having 100 WhatsApp groups. And like the fourth is like, it's a real business. Like you have people that are charging $5,000 to get you in their pod. So that is something, and they are selling while their posts about how to organically grow your LinkedIn profile, personal growth, whatever, and then they are literally having pods that are super organized with a ton of VAs. At the end, you're not ever communicating to that person. They have their VAs, they have WhatsApp. Like, it's insane. And that's a real business because they are making real money. Does it help you? Maybe, not sure. So yes, at the beginning, when you need some kind of a support, but really think about the audience. Do not join to like every kind of the communication pod. It's more like, if it is a social media as it is, you're on LinkedIn already. When you provide to someone, like if you help someone, that person will help you. You go and comment to 10 posts, and you comment again to the same 10 people, they're going to comment to your post as well, and that is some kind of a pod. It's not a real pod, but you are building relationship before you even know each other, because you are helping each other on LinkedIn. And then natively you get this post, and then natively LinkedIn knows that you are interested in their content, etc.
We're talking then about starting out. Now, sometimes someone will come up to me and they'll be like, hey, I'm trying to, break out of being a full-time employee. I want to go and start selling a course. So I want to be a coach or a consultant or all of the things that everyone wants to be these days. And one of the first questions they ask me, because again, I do have a reasonably okay following, whatever good it does me, but I do have one already, and people see that and like, well, I want one of those too. And they kind of come to me and they're like, how can I up my content game? How can I get started? And I kind of think about it in two ways personally. I'd be interested in your take. Like, first of all, I don't believe that following will make as much difference to them as, for example, doing good old-fashioned networking and recommendations and all of their like personal network that they could already milk. But also that if you're asking that question at the time you need it, it's already way too late. Like again, I said earlier, I started building my profile kind of on the side when I had a full-time job and didn't need to generate anything off of it. And I was just lucky that I took off in certain niches and everything kind of worked out fine. And then when I needed it, it was there. And, I sit back and I can probably draw a circle around that and pretend that was a strategy, but it wasn't. It was just all just stuff that happened. So I guess the question that I eventually get to out of that ramble is basically, how long do you think it takes for someone to go from not having any profile at all to having a profile that actually works for them and gets them the reach and whatever engagement that they need? Like, is that 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years? What's a fair time for that to pay off?
Minimum is 6 months. If you are not into it for 6 months, and if you don't want to dedicate 6 months, you don't even have to try. I mean, like, it's so hard. People expect results after 2-3 months. After 2-3 months, you are trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. And probably in these 6 months, you will change your strategy multiple times. So it's not, it's very hard, even like when you work with great coaches, and there are great coaches, and they can help you. At the end, you really need to find your voice, and you really need to start understanding how LinkedIn works. And that takes time. And then the second part is, as you said, like if you are like, right now, I need this from LinkedIn. How can I get that from LinkedIn? I mean, like, pay ads, like you can always pay ads and you're going to get reach. But if you want to do it organically, nobody's going to let you just come and gain and get everything that you can, because like, here am I. The competition is much higher than 5 years ago. So 6 months, but also like, with the end goal, what is realistic. So again, in 6 months, I don't think you can make, like, I would say like this, average person, typical person, I don't think can get 10K in MRR or 10K in revenue or whatever is sold to all of us in 6 months. So, but you can start gaining traction, getting leads, even before understanding what works. And in a year, have something that it won't ever be on autopilot, but it will be good enough that you can jump there, spend some time, and get something from it. But you really need to start building relationships first before you even start posting. Because if you post and there is nobody, like, you never engaged, nobody knows who you are, like, okay, your brother, sister, wife, whoever, like, best friend is gonna like. But like, if we are talking about the audience, you really need to get to that audience. You need to provide, to contribute, in order to expect something in return. So everything is about ROI, and it doesn't come, like, return doesn't come before the investment. So that's how I think LinkedIn has to be seen as a social media.
So what would be the kind of best investment in time? Like, I see some people, for example, saying, their advice is that when you're early on, the best bet for you actually isn't to post too many. You post a bit of your own stuff, but that mainly you need to be interacting with other people, with people that are influencers, that have bigger followings themselves, that are posting stuff that people are interacting with. You can be the comment on there and maybe interact with them on there. maybe you come across their radar, as you said earlier, and they start replying back. Maybe they even follow you at some point. Is that like the best way to get started rather than just sort of writing a bunch of posts, getting demotivated and then stopping or trying to write different posts or just, switching and pivoting to memes or something like that? Like, how is that commenting strategy as a strategy?
Yeah. So I think that even before commenting strategy, you first of all need to understand who is your audience and what is your offer, what will be your offer. And then to optimize, like you can do it by yourself at the beginning. Later, yes, you can find someone to help you, or you can again do it by yourself. But like optimize your profile about that ideal offer. It doesn't have to be like I'm selling something, but you need to present yourself as I'm trying to do X for Y. Ideal with some social proof. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but first of all, try to fill up your profile. Try to have a really good banner to tell people what to do. Banner is one of the most important elements of your profile. Tell them to follow you. Tell them to connect with you. If they want to just discuss something that you know, say something that is interesting about you that they will stick in their mind. So when you have that, you are ready for the commenting strategy. Because the idea with the commenting strategy is, obviously, you don't have your own following. You don't have your personal brand. You are going to get into someone's post. You are going to write something there. And then their audience will see your comment. And okay, they will engage. But what will happen next? They will go to your profile. And your goal is from writing these comments, obviously, to get reactions on the comments, to be seen in the comment section. But then to get people from this comment to your profile, from your profile to do something, to follow you, to connect you, to check something. So you really need profile to start, because if you create great content, great comment, and I'm like, wow, this is so great, and they go to your profile, I have no clue who you are. I'm like, okay. And I will close. I mean, and I see that you have like 500 followers, I don't see, and you have a post with 3 reactions, not for me. So, but if you have the same, but you have a very specific, like you have a branding, like you're using yellow and black, whatever, that is very easy to do in Canva. Like follow a few people, and like you can really, like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you really need to start somewhere. So the commenting strategy, there are 2 ways how you can do it. One is go for big accounts like influencers. There you are trying to be one of the first to write a comment. So others, ideally that influencer will respond to you. And then others will start to comment under your comment. That is called indirect comments. And the comment with many of these indirect comments is going to get like on top of the whole comment section. Because when you have an influencer, that influencer gets 1,000 comments, and you really need to be in the first, second, or third place, like in the first part of the feed before see more in the comment section. So that is what you are trying to get. And then if you make it happen, a lot of people will see you and go to your profile. One thing to have in mind is whether your ideal audience is the ideal audience of that influencer. Because if the influencer is talking about solopreneurs, you're a solopreneur, everyone are solopreneurs, but you are selling to B2B SaaS that raised 5 million, you don't need to be in that comment section, because obviously your audience, you don't need more solopreneurs. Like those are potentially your competitors or whoever. So the other option that I use to grow my following is to find people that are creating content that are a bit better than you. If you are getting 10 reactions, they are getting 30, 40. So a bit better than you. But are writing about something that is insightful. By the way, profiles like that are writing usually much better content and are looking to engage much more. So you have a list of 10 people, 20, and you share again the audience. That's super important. And then you comment to their posts, and you can start making relationships with these people. Not only that you are going to be the first to comment and maybe you're going to win or not, but you do it every day. So maybe at some point you will be on the top. Here, you can be natively on LinkedIn. You can see their post. You get into their circle. You check who they are following. You follow these people as well. And then you're basically making your own circle or bubble. And that is how you also curate your feed, because LinkedIn sees, oh, Jason is just looking for B2B marketing, B2B product, here is more about it. And LinkedIn learns very fast. So you start to get a circle. You can then write a DM to these people just to meet. Having a DM with someone like that is very important. They will see your post in the feed after you post. So ideally, you will be about commenting to people that are a bit better than you at that moment. You can move on. Like when you go to the stage, don't forget about them, but you can obviously go to the bigger accounts, and then you can extract the value from their audience.
It's almost like it's a business. Right, lightning round. I want you to tell me 3 things that people should stop doing on their LinkedIn posts right now.
Okay, so 3 things. I will say like this. First, personal photos. LinkedIn is not Facebook. So please do not
not the selfies, not the selfies.
Not selfies. Like selfies only when they make sense. But please, like I'm on a beach. I have like this great drink, whatever, cocktail, look at me, how amazing I am. Like that type of post. Not only they don't work, they are cringe. In my opinion, yes, maybe you're going to get likes and reactions, but I don't think they will influence positively your personal brand. So the second is, please don't use GPT or any kind of a GPT wrapper. Take the output and post it to LinkedIn. So don't go to GPT and tell it, I want to create for me a LinkedIn post about 5 mistakes that any founder can make, blah, 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 and then post it, because right now people can understand whether something is created by AI, including images. So please don't do it. If you are I'm okay with using tools like that. Please try to put your own voice, to remove stuff that are fluff, to remove things that are not important, and to provide. So, and then the third is, please don't just be one more copycat of any influencer or any CEO. The strategy that works for one person and that worked for one person 5 years ago is not a strategy that can work for you right now. So you need to find your own voice. You have an experience, you have insights, some data, and you need to write about that. And that is the only thing that can differentiate you from everything that is happening around in the LinkedIn feed.
Nice. And one more, 3 things that they should start doing, and not just the opposite of those 3 things that you just said. 3 specific things they should start doing with their posts.
So start doing. So first of all, if you are not optimizing a hook, that is the first part of the post, and when you click see more, you see the whole post. But that is the first part of the post that is in the feed. That is the most important element. If that is not good, you fail. So people want click a see more, and then they want engage. So you're really trying. Like not only Outer Up, we even have a free tool to preview your post. You can go to our website and use it for free. Like really super important posts that have really good, nice, interesting hooks that catch attention are important. The second is readability. Posts. I know that it is great to sound like someone with PhD, and that is amazing when like you read something like this and you're like, wow, I'm so smart, I'm gonna provide like these big paragraphs and my audience will feel that I know what I'm doing. That is not how attention span works on LinkedIn. People want to digest what you have to say and try to make it easy for them to read. When I say to read, I mean, you need to use white space, to use bullet points. You really need to make it easy for them to, first of all, scan and then to go back, because nobody is seeing, oh, this is Ivana's post. I'm right now going to read every single word that she wrote from the word 1 to the word 1,000. No, they will just, first of all, scan whether it makes sense. And if it makes sense, they will get a few bullet points or just keywords, and then they will go back. So usually it takes 2 or 3 iterations for someone to read your post. At the end, they read 70 to 80%. So just keep that in mind. If you have these big paragraphs, you're going to fail. Like, people really don't want to read that on LinkedIn. Yes, in your scientific articles for sure, but no in LinkedIn feed. So that's the second one. And the third one is something that I figured out. And also we see it in the analysis. Everything that is, I have 4, sorry, but I will just first do the third.
That's fine. Then a bonus
Third,
one as well.
Yeah, we have a bonus one. So it's about authenticity. If you can share something that, like when it comes to posts, write specific number. Say, I tried this 7 times. Don't try, I've tried this few times. Try to write from your own perspective. If you have any data, try to share that data, some analytics. If you don't have, try to find interesting stats that are going to prove something that you are saying. So the idea is basically people want it to be specific. Nobody wants to read how to use, or no, these are my top 10 tools for product management, because anyone can write this. Imagine that there is no your name, that there is no your face when you write a post. Read a post and think, okay, if someone reads this, can they understand, realize that it is my post and not anyone's post? If it is my post, if they can say, okay, so this sounds like Ivana, this sounds like her topic, you can post it. But if it is something that anyone can write, that is a bad post. You need to start over again. And the fourth one, that's a bonus, because because nobody's talking about it, and those are indirect comments. So LinkedIn wants conversations to happen in the feed. LinkedIn wants people to, and where the conversation can happen in the comment section. So when, for example, someone responds to your comment, when you respond to that comment, that's called the indirect comment. So every comment that responds to the comment is called the indirect. You ideally can start a conversation there. You can ask people something, you can tag them. You really have to be interested in what they have to say. But ideally, you will be able to have one main comment and, let's say, a few people that are commenting under that one. And that is how you can get much more reach. So if there is one hack, so don't go to pods, like, okay, you can optimize best time to post. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you can optimize. But if you can do one great thing for you and also for someone else, if you want to help someone else, try to write indirect comments under their posts. And if they want to help you, they will also respond to your indirect comments, because that is literally, we can see that posts with a lot of these, I won't get too much into the details, but indirect comments can get 2.6 times more impressions. So, and that is something that is super valuable.
Well, there you go. But excellent advice for all of us to go and think about how we can start to optimize ourselves. But we could obviously talk for this stuff for hours, but I'm going to let you go and read some of your books. Where can people find you after this if they want to nerd out about LinkedIn or the algorithms, or just check out Orthod Up in general?
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn. I'm writing a few
Of course.
posts. Yeah, imagine that. I'm writing a few posts per week. As you will see, I don't have a content strategy, 7 posts every day, whatever. So, but I'm writing about all of these insights and about the analysis that we are doing. When it comes to Orthod Up, orthodup.com. And also you can directly download the Chrome extension or just go to our website, sign up. We have 14-day free trial, no credit card needed. You can try out all the features. And we are right now building a few additional resources. Will be ready in the next few weeks for newbies and for people that already have a lot of following and a lot of practice on LinkedIn, where we are going to share as a small email sequences where you can get a ton of advice that we are not only sharing as Orthod Up, but also insights from the algorithm, insights from our research. So you'll be able to subscribe to that and to get additional insights on top of everything that we are communicating already.
Well, there you go. Sounds like a fair offer, and I'll make sure to link it all into the show notes. So hopefully some people will come and take it up and start to investigate and work out what they can do to boost their presence as well. Well, that's been a fabulous chat. And again, could talk about this stuff for hours. I'm on LinkedIn probably just as much as you, so we can all kind of sit there optimizing each other. But yeah, no, thanks for having the chat. And obviously we'll keep in touch. But yeah, as for now, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you so much.